This episode of the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast is dedicated to the memory of Daphne.
Hey guys, it's Steve from Manfix here. You're listening to Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. Only on the Counted Out 7 YouTube channel. Tyrone, let's go!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. As always, my name is Tyrone, and I am joined by the Lance Cade to my Trevor Murdoch, Jay. How are you today, bud?
I am doing well, my friend. We are on the eve of Labor Day weekend, just finishing up some work. Spoiler alert, folks, we are recording on a Friday today, and very excited indeed for a little bit of R&R. Tyrone, I know that you have some long overdue time off coming up in the near future, and couldn't be more excited for you. And I'm very excited about tonight's card, or this afternoon's card, rather, that we're covering, Unforgiven. The WWE's offering of Unforgiven in September of 2005, September 18th, 2005 to be exact, from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, at the Ford Center with an attendance of 8,000. This was a very transitional time in the company, a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan, certainly. We had a real great mixture of young and upcoming talent as well as established stars. We'll get into that in a minute. But for right now, I think that, Tyrone, we have something kind of, as alluded to at the top of the show, somber to talk about. And I'm going to let you have the floor here and just go ahead and tell me what you're feeling, how you're doing, and really how this news has kind of affected you and myself as well, and the wrestling family and world as well. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, as you heard off the top of the show, we unfortunately lost Daphne. It's kind of fucking with me. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like I knew her. It's not like I had ever met her. But when you see the circumstances involving in this situation, where there was a video online where she essentially, I don't even want to talk about the video because her family has requested that it be pulled down. But I'm sure a lot of people know of it or saw it, and then everybody online tries to get a hold of her family, tries to get a hold of the police, tries to get a hold of her. And then the next day we find out that she unfortunately has passed. And I think that when it comes to mental health issues, people still don't fully understand it. There's still this weird stigma around it, and it's bullshit. If you broke your arm, you would go to the doctor. If you broke your toe, you would go to the doctor. But yet when you have an issue with your brain, and I don't want to say it's broken because that's not necessarily true, as somebody who does deal with a few mental health issues, I went to a doctor. I don't have any shame in letting people know that I deal with that. A lot of people deal with it, but the fact that there are still people out there that judge people for it makes me absolutely fucking sick. And if you're out there making any negative comments towards a tragic situation like this, in all honesty, you are a waste of a human being and not worth anyone's breath.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I do think that social media plays a large part into this. I certainly don't want to blame social media solely for anybody's mental health issues or what have you, but I certainly think that it exacerbates the issue. Some people, I think, in today's society equate their self-esteem with their popularity on social media and their standing, their likes, their followers and things of that nature. And that can have a profound impact on how they perceive themselves and the world around them. Certainly this situation, I don't have any details, nor do you really. None of us really do. It's a very tragic situation. It's something that I really think that it's important to be an advocate for yourself as well as those around you. So if you know anybody that is hurting or struggling, trying to put on a brave face, reach out. Sometimes you never know how much that one word of kindness, that one gesture of opening your heart to someone, or offering a hand in friendship or a kindness, just picking up the phone. I know everybody texts these days, but just picking up the phone and calling someone for 2 minutes just to see how they're doing, or just say, hey, I was thinking about you, just thought we'd connect for a minute. That can really go a long way. We never know what people are dealing with on the inside, and we never know what people are really, no pun intended, wrestling with on a daily basis. So I just think it's really important that we all try to, live our best, most kind-hearted selves. Obviously not opening yourself up to being, hurt yourself, but sometimes you have to take that opportunity to open yourself up so that someone else feels comfortable to do that with you. So, I'll be the first one to say that Tyrone and I have had conversations about, having times where we've had the blues, or not feeling ourselves, or being upset, or what have you. And we've been there leaning on each other and take great comfort in each other's friendship. So we're very lucky that we have each other, and we have, support systems with family and friends and loved ones. And we both have wonderful, you have a wife in your case, I have a wonderful girlfriend, and I'm very, very, very lucky. I count my blessings every day for that. So there are folks out there that don't have the richness in friendship and connection that we do. So if anybody out there is feeling this way or needs to talk to someone, you can always, I know it sounds trite, but you could always DM us, email us if you want to talk to us, send us a message on Instagram or Twitter. We'll always be there for anybody. So it's a tragic situation, and we just wish the best for everyone out there. And if anybody is having a hard time getting through the day or struggling, there's no shame in asking for help, or saying that you need someone to talk to. There's no shame in that whatsoever. So just know that.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to tell people too, slide into our DMs. We will help you out in any way we can. We may have never met you, we may have never spoken before, but if you need a hand, we are there. Also, just so you guys know that you're not alone, I just want to give you a couple of phone numbers here. If you're ever feeling like you need to talk to somebody in the U.S., completely anonymous, 1-800-273-8255. And in Canada, 1-833-456-4566. There's always somebody there to listen, to talk, to help. Guys, mental health isn't a joke. We know that. We love you. Stay safe. Hug somebody. Tell them you love them.
Well, I love you, buddy. And I love that we are doing this together. We're continuing on this journey, closing in on a year doing this together. It's been very rewarding. It is a labor of love. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging than some weeks than others, to get our schedules coordinated and this and that. But ultimately, we're very lucky that we get a chance to set aside a couple of hours every week to celebrate our friendship and our mutual love. So I'm lucky to have you, and I'm glad that we have this to keep us in communication constantly. It's almost like forcing us to spend time together. So, it's great that we have this, buddy.
Couldn't agree more. Now I think we need to try and transition into talking about a pay-per-view now and uplifting the mood slightly if we can.
Well, I think if we're going to uplift the mood, we have to talk about a certain someone, as long as it stays on the card, a certain someone winning his first ever Intercontinental Championship. Not sure where you're going.
Are we just jumping right into the first match right now?
No, not yet. I wanted to talk a little bit about this time period in WWE history. So as we alluded to, folks, it's a September offering of Unforgiven 2005 from Oklahoma City. Pretty transitional time in the company. I mean, I feel like I say that a lot of times when we cover events, but so often is the case in wrestling that there are moments of transition that take place quite frequently. You can look at, where a company is year to year. If you look at Unforgiven 2004, where we were as compared to this particular event. You know, a lot of things have changed. I think the biggest thing coming out of this particular, or going into this particular pay-per-view, is we're just about a month removed from SummerSlam 2005. Now, of course, that was headlined by Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. I think we can all agree that it was an abysmal match. I mean, Shawn Michaels was overselling in that match, you know, to the point of parody or almost hysterics. But I would dare say that the build for that feud was probably one of my top 3 or 4 builds for an angle ever in wrestling. I love that build to Hogan and Michaels, specifically that Montreal Go Home Raw edition where we had that fake out with the Bret Hart theme song was just outstanding. I remember seeing it live on Raw. It was actually on my birthday, and watching it, and I remember starting to jump up and down. Like, I was so excited. I could not believe it. And I was so angry after he didn't come out, but then afterwards I really appreciated how skillfully that fake out was done. So do you have any memories about, you know, the summer of 2005, or specifically about that Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan, you know, build up and where we're going after that?
No, not really. This was that weird era where I didn't really have cable or much internet access, so I wasn't really following. I knew sort of what was going on, but I wasn't really watching it religiously at this point. I hated the Michaels Hogan build-up and angle, completely different to you. All I remember about that build-up is the Larry King live thing and Shawn Michaels being on there as Hulk Hogan, pulling the bald cap off, and it was stupid. I thought the build-up was stupid because you're trying to make Shawn a heel, which he wasn't at the time. No matter what, maybe in Montreal he was, but he wasn't anywhere else in the world. And when Hogan refuses to do the job so that they can have a best of 3 or whatever the hell they were going to do, then you got the terrible, terrible match we got. So, no, I don't have a lot to say about this era. The one thing I will say that I found funny is when you look at this took place at what, the Ford Center? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, exactly.
It holds like 18,000 people, and they only were able to get 8,000 in there. That's this era.
That's still a pretty decent house, though, for I mean, a September pay-per-view. I mean, I don't know. I think we were at this point now where we were post Attitude Era, clearly, and even Ruthless Aggression was kind of, I don't know. It was sort of like a strange. Maybe you're at the tail end of Ruthless Aggression. I don't know, but I think we're at the point where, you know, selling out houses and selling out, you know, house shows for 20,000, or in some cases, like in Toronto, we'd sometimes sell 25,000 or what have you at the Sky Dome or things of that nature. I think we're at the point now where we're still getting big crowds for, you know, the tentpole events, the Manias, the SummerSlams, the Royal Rumbles, and that kind of thing. But we've kind of settled down back into a pattern where we're not going to sell out necessarily these transitional pay-per-views, or, you know, because basically you're looking at this particular event.
Well, no, but hold on 1 second there. You can say that all you want about not selling out the transitional pay-per-views. A year later, Unforgiven was at the Air Canada Centre. 90% sure it was sold out. Unforgiven 2006 had an attendance of 16,100 people in Toronto. So double the attendance as this event.
Well, that's fair, but I mean, I think that the Toronto market's probably a little bit different. It's a very hot market for the wrestling product, and in some ways,
I think Oklahoma's a pretty hot market too.
Yeah, but you also have to look at the fact that Toronto as a market was starved for, maybe not in 2006, but, you know, in 2006, we didn't get another pay-per-view in Toronto until 2016. So we went 10 years without a pay-per-view. So, yeah, we would get our Raws and our SmackDowns and our obligatory house shows and things of that nature. But anyways, I just think the point is that certain markets draw more than others. You also have to look at what else was going on in the town at the time. There might have been something else happening. My point is ultimately that I think we're at a point where we're starting to settle back down into, you're not going to sell a whole house out every pay-per-view, every Raw, every SmackDown. It was just we had gotten past that point where the kind of the apex of popularity in the late 90s, early 2000s had settled off a bit, and we lost some of the casual audience, and that's where we end up maybe selling out half a house as opposed to going, sellouts day in and day out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. It's always hard to keep a buy rate very high, and they weren't able to do it all the time. Even with matches like Snitsky and the Big Show, they couldn't sell this place out.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you have to look at the card as well. I mean, this is not a blowaway card. This is another one of those cards where they're really trying to get over younger, like newer talent, like a Snitsky. They're trying out new gimmicks like this Kerwin White. I mean, we know that wasn't going to be going too far, but I think that they were trying to get over younger stars and trying to.
Okay, now when you say trying to get over younger stars, are you saying trying to get their character on TV a bit more, or trying to give them the rub? Because none of the new stars won on this event. They all lost.
It's a bizarrely booked. It's a very bizarre way of booking. I mean, I understand, Chris Masters, you're trying to do something with him, but then to have Shawn Michaels, I mean, yeah, you're going to get the rub from Shawn Michaels, but if you kill off Masters right then and there, I mean, where does he go after that? I don't know. It's just I have a hard time understanding exactly coming off of SummerSlam why they went the direction they went. But anyhow, I think we should just get into this sucker and see how we do in terms of your booking. I'm very curious to see where you go with this.
Let's fucking go, bud.
So are you rebooking the Heat match?
Nope.
Okay, well, I was hoping you kept Rob Conway on the card, so that worked out well for us. The first match on the card is for the Intercontinental Championship, and it is the Nature Boy Ric Flair defeating the champion Carlito by way of figure 4 leg lock submission. What do you have for me, bud?
First of all, I think this is the only match in the WWE that Flair actually won with the figure 4.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
But the opening match of Unforgiven 2005 is the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels going one-on-one with Shelton Benjamin.
Okay. I don't hate this at all.
Think back of that massive classic that they had on Raw with that super kick out of nowhere. Like, it was such a good match that you talk about you didn't understand what they were doing at this time with putting Michaels and Masters together and that. I hated that storyline, so I just completely got rid of it. I have Shawn Michaels going over Shelton, but at this point, it doesn't hurt Shelton Benjamin because he's already a semi-established star. He's got the collegiate background. Everybody's still going to be, all right, cool. He put on a hell of a show. This is going to be such an athletic match versus the classic kind of big man, little man match that we got with Masters and Michaels. I just think this is a million times better.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean, I think going back to that original match, it was during a Gold Rush tournament. I believe it was the night after Backlash 2005, which was in Manchester, New Hampshire, and you'd had Hogan and Michaels versus who was it that they fought? I don't recall who they wrestled.
Muhammad Hassan and Davari, I believe.
That's right. Okay, so the night after that, if I have my history correct, that was the night that Shawn Michaels faced Shelton Benjamin, and we saw Shelton Benjamin going for that springboard into, I can assume, what is either maybe a forearm or what have you, and Shawn Michaels countered into a super kick. It's one of the most famous, finishes to a match in Raw history, maybe WWE history. So yeah, I could definitely see these two putting on a clinic, especially in 2005. I like that booking a lot. I think it's a great way to open the show. I can definitely see how you could tell that story quite well. Just going back to, that moment. And also, I didn't necessarily hate the way they built the Shawn Michaels, Chris Masters angle, especially that first opening segment the night after SummerSlam, I thought was really good. But then after that, you kind of fell off for me. I mean, I think everybody kind of assumed that Shawn Michaels was going to win, especially since he had just lost to Hogan. So I like this. I think this is a great way to open up the pay-per-view and a really, really hot start. So good job on that.
Well, my booking, it's all about ebbs and flows. So let's see how much you enjoy it now.
What do you got, bud? The next match on the card is Ashley Massaro and Trish Stratus defeating the ladies in pink. I didn't know that was a thing. Tori Wilson and Victoria with Candice Michelle at ringside.
The next match on the card is what I'm just learning now is Jay's apparent favorite wrestler, Rob Conway, going one-on-one with Eugene.
Yeah, well, that is definitely an ebb and flow. There's no doubt
Well,
about
I
that.
mean, you look ahead of, what was it, like maybe a month later when they did Taboo Tuesday, and it was Eugene and I can't remember which legend taking on Tomko and Conway. It was a weird pairing, but at least if you put them on the event beforehand, maybe there's a little bit of build-up. I have Rob Conway going over Eugene by way of cheating. He doesn't get a clean win, which pisses off Eugene. It makes him upset. He gets a little emotional, goes to the back. All the legends are trying to console him. He gets very excited that his childhood heroes are there. It builds into the Taboo Tuesday match.
So did Conway use a baguette to go over? A loaded
No,
baguette?
no, because he's not a French supporter at this point. He's just look at me, Rob Conway. God, that was such a great theme song, though. I gotta say,
It was, and he had those sunglasses and the whole deal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you're gonna, it would be nice to get some build to Taboo Tuesday as opposed to always just kind of throwing something together. I mean, that was the other thing too. We talked about pay-per-views before that. You had Unforgiven, and then the next month, I guess you would have had No Mercy, which would have been a SmackDown pay-per-view, I believe, at this point. We are still separating the brand specific pay-per-views, obviously, but then you have this Taboo Tuesday as well. So that's 3 pay-per-views within about 6 weeks. That's a lot. I mean, no wonder some people were burning out on the product at the time. I mean, the other thing too is we're still on kind of old school pay-per-view buy rate systems. You didn't have the WWE network, so I don't know how many
no,
people are going to be
you had
selling
to
out.
you had to shell out like 40 to $50 every 2 weeks to watch one of these.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, like if you have 3 within 6 weeks, so you're spending $150 on pay-per-views. That's a lot of money to expect from your audience. You better have something that people want to see, and as is evidenced by this card, not necessarily your card, but the card in canon. I mean, I don't think I bought this pay-per-view. I don't remember buying it. So,
Oh, I definitely own the DVD. I'll tell you that.
oh, I do too. But not. I would rather just pay the $20 or $25 for the DVD and have it forever than I would watch the thing live. So.
I don't think I watched a single pay-per-view live in 2005, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think I watched Mania and I watched SummerSlam. I think that might be about it. Anyhow, yeah, that seems to work for me. I mean, then he has his choice of legends to team with, and it builds up towards that match. I get it. I think you could do something next night on Raw where maybe both Tomko and maybe is a match with Tomko the next night on Raw, and then Eugene that is, and then you could have Rob
All right,
Conway.
you're overthinking this way too much right now. It's Rob.
No, I'm
Conway
just thinking
and
about how you
Eugene.
set it up. I mean, you set it up for longer term booking into an angle. So yeah, I think that makes sense. You could have a one-on-one the next night on Raw with Tomko, and then Conway comes out and they both kind of start beating him up, and then one of the legends comes out to make the save, and the match is signed, right? So I think that might be a fun way to do it. But anyhow,
Yeah, I believe that it was actually, I think it was Snuka that he teamed with at Taboo Tuesday, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, maybe when we do Taboo Tuesday, I think that'll change. But anyhow, the next match on the card is the Big Show going up against Snitsky and defeating Snitsky by pinfall. So we're really trying to get over these young guys here.
The next match on the card is for the WWE World Tag Team Championship, and it is still Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch defeating the Hurricane and Rosie. Match
Good.
stays the same, just different placement on the show.
Yeah, that's 100% good, and I'm glad you got the titles off of the 2 superheroes. I think that Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade were were a very underrated tag team at the time. They were quite proficient in the ring. I liked the gimmick. It was almost to me like a bit of a precursor to the Revival, in the sense that they were just more about wrestling and not so much about gimmicks. I mean, you had Murdoch coming out with that trucker hat and the dip cup and all that kind of thing. I mean, it was just kind of fun. It was real old school Southern wrestling. I really appreciated that particular gimmick.
It was the pretty boy cowboy, and it was the rough and tough redneck.
Yeah, and as we alluded to in last week's episode, Trevor Murdoch is your new NWA champion. So it's amazing to think that he really hasn't been on the map much since his run in WWE. And in 2021, he's your new NWA champion, which is pretty cool. So good for him, and good on him for sticking it out. And now he's finally getting his just rewards, right?
Oh, hell yeah. He still looks just rough as ever.
Yeah, he does. I saw a couple of screen grabs. And I also caught Flair's promo for that at the NWA event, which was really great. I thought it was a really good promo. So
I haven't watched it yet, though, but it was good.
The promo was, I haven't watched the event. I just caught Flair's promo, a little bit of it, about 2 minutes of it, and I thought it was really good. He was very classy in the way that he, thanked Vince McMahon and thanked AEW and this and that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Flair mark, as you know, but he was definitely being quite respectful in that promo. So give him credit for that for sure. But yeah, I like that you've changed the placement. I think it's nice that you have a tag team match in the middle of the middle of the card, for the crowd, the ebbs and flows, as we discussed. And yeah, I like that Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch are still going over. So you did good with that one, buddy.
Awesome. Let's keep going.
All right, next up on the card, we have, this would have been main event anywhere in the country. Shelton Benjamin defeating Kerwin White by pinfall in, my God, 8 minutes and 6 seconds.
Okay, you can say my God all you want. Yes, was the Kerwin White gimmick awful? 100%. But do you not want to watch Shelton Benjamin versus Chavo Guerrero? Because that's a marquee match in my eyes.
Not
The next
in
match
that gimmick, because I'll tell you why. I feel like... Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say not in that gimmick with Kerwin White, because I feel as though he would work a completely different style than Chavo Guerrero would.
Okay, that's fair. I see what you're saying. Well,
Yeah.
Jay, this isn't the next match on my card. The next match on my card is Trish Stratus going one-on-one with Victoria. I kept the women on here because Trish and Victoria were both great workers. Yes, we had seen this match a lot, but the depth of the women's roster on Monday Night Raw at this point was not very good. I didn't want to throw a bra and panty match on there. I really didn't want to have the Ashley Massaros or Tori Wilsons in the ring because they weren't trained workers, and it showed every time they were in there. I thought the women still deserved to be on the card. They're still getting their 7-8 minute match, but it's just one-on-one Trish and Victoria.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, you covered what I was going to bring up, which is we've seen that match at this point, time and time again. I remember it being on a pay-per-view in 2003, so we'd had 2 years of this match happening a fair bit. But to your point, I mean, the depth of workers that could really go at this time, it really wasn't necessarily there. There were certain people that could, but yeah, I guess I'm fine with this. Is it for a title? I guess I'm not even sure if. I mean, I don't think either one of them were champion at this time, were they?
I don't even know who the women's champion was at this point, to be perfectly honest with you. So this is just a match.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean,
I think Trish would have been champ because we were about to get into the whole Mickie James thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. I'm just Googling it now, and I can't seem to get a definitive answer. Our apologies, folks. We didn't anticipate that particular question. Usually, Tyrone and I are rather prepared for these shows, and I've done a lot of research. But
no, I'm telling you, Trish was champ because Mickie James came out like a month or two later, maximum, or maybe even around here, and then it built up to WrestleMania 22 with Mickey and Trish.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, you got it. Okay. Let's see. Alrighty, so if you're finished with that one, buddy, I'm ready to go on to the next one. Which
Yes,
is
sir.
Matt Hardy defeating Edge in a steel cage match, and of course Lita is at ringside by pinfall.
The next match scheduled for one fall is for the World Wrestling Entertainment. God, that sounds stupid. Why did I say that? The WWE Intercontinental Championship. And we have the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, defeating Carlito with the figure 4.
Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't have changed that at all. It's a great little moment in history. I mean, it's nothing that Flair's going to hang his hat on in terms of his career. I mean, he certainly, acknowledges that he had an Intercontinental title run. It didn't last long.
He may not hang his hat on this moment in his career, but if you watch the vignettes throughout the whole show, I'm sure you could hang his hat on something throughout the night, if you know what I'm saying.
Very, very true.
I kept the match the same, but I moved it into the middle of the card, mainly because I didn't want to see those stupid vignettes. That's the real reason. I didn't need to see Ric Flair ass out at 56 years old, falling over out of a limousine after having an orgy with like 6 different women. Don't need to see that. It's like watching your grandfather do that.
I think the first vignette was fine. I think the first one was kind of fun where he goes into the limo and stuff, but it did go on like Gone with the Wind. I do agree with that. I mean, the first one kind of setting up that this is how he's going to celebrate the night. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. No problem. Let's do that. But yeah, then when you see him, although I will say, when you see him like taking the little jar of Viagra out and shaking it and then like going and double checking to see how many women are in the car and then taking a couple extra pills, that popped me. That was pretty funny. But no, to your point, I think that's so often the case with WWE humor is some of it is very, very well done. And then they just keep going back to it and they just jump the shark for me. Like if you had done maybe 2 segments, I would have been fine with it, but it went through the whole night. I'm like, all right, you kind of went a little overboard here with it.
Them going overboard with a dick joke? Never.
Yeah, exactly. We're DX reuniting in about 6 months from now, and then we get right back into it again.
Big Dick Johnson. That was his name, right? The fucking Krista Joseph. That was his character name, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Did
God,
that use your Twitter?
No, sure wasn't. That was just what you called me every time we were hanging out, because I got nothing. That was really I don't know where I was going with that one.
That's why we said we're always 1 urinal apart now in the men's.
There we go.
So, yeah, no, that's good. I like that you kept that on there. I'm very happy that you kept that match. It made a lot of sense to me to keep Flair going over for the title. It was a great feel-good moment for the crowd. Plus, it gave Flair something. He had been kind of, I feel like at this time, in a little bit of a limbo. He didn't really have much of an angle to speak, especially since Evolution had broken up in 2005, around WrestleMania time. There really wasn't a whole lot for Ric Flair to do at this time. He would be doing some random matches. And of course, I remember very famously around this time in Winnipeg on a Raw, they did a musical chairs, which was really funny. But yeah, I think this is great to give him the championship and kind of give him some direction. You have a player like Flair on your card who could still go. Why not give him a title, just even if it's for a little while, and then he can drop it to someone and kind of help make that guy.
Well, and it also built into that Triple H Ric Flair feud that we would get a couple of months later. That was incredible.
It was really good. I do agree. I think Triple H was off right now for a little while, and that's sort of the reason why we hadn't seen Triple H for a bit. And then when he came back, that's when that's when Triple H turned on Flair. Yeah, and
he was on a bit of a hiatus right now, which is why, spoiler alert, Trips is not on this card at all.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We can give him a little break. But if you don't have anything else to add regarding that particular match, you ready to go on to the next one, bud?
Yes, I am indeed. So I'm just going to tell you what the next one is first, because I do have an extra match added to the card. That way, when we get to the main event, we'll still be at the main event.
Okay.
So the next match on my card is the masterpiece Chris Masters defeating the world's largest athlete, the Big Show, with the master lock.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, you're not going to hurt Show at this time. They had been so back and forth on him in terms of, heel, face. He was dominant, then he would job out a lot. I think that at this point in 2005, he'd been with the company for, I guess, better part of 6 years. And, it's not all the company's fault. The Big Show as well, he wasn't necessarily as committed as he could have been in terms of his appearance, cardiovascular. He had gained a lot of weight by this point. So my point is, at this point in his career, I kind of feel as though he really wasn't in a position where doing a job to somebody like this would hurt him. He really, I don't know if you know what I mean. He was kind of marginalized. He was kind of just in the middle of the card. He was not an afterthought, but he certainly wasn't what he could have and should have been at this time. So to have him, do a clean job.
It wasn't the 1999 Big Show. It wasn't the 2000 and whatever Mayweather was, 2008 Big Show. It was the middle ground where, he had definitely gained a lot of weight. He wasn't in the best shape, but he was still the dominating big man that you want to put somebody over, a la Chris Masters. It makes sense. Have him put it on the Big Show, get that victory instead of having him lose to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and I could see as well, like, you could continue on with that if you have Show, tap out. I don't know if would it be a clean tap out, or would you do something like maybe a low blow and then put the master lock on? I'm just thinking about planting seeds so that you could do a return. Not that necessarily want to see it, but I mean, I just feel as though with a guy like Big Show, you have to leave him with something. So maybe you do the low blow and then you go.
I'm fine with the low blow thing, because then it also helps get him kind of hunched over a little bit easier so that Masters can lock on the master lock. And then maybe have Big Show pass out in it and not tap out type thing.
Yeah, that could be something too. I mean, I just think you need to give Show something. I mean, just to have him go, like, have Masters go over clean, you need to have something, not 50-50 booking, but just something there. And then you can go on to later. And I don't know, you could do some kind of a stip match, maybe at the Taboo Tuesday, what have you. But yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I think I like that better than I do the Shawn Michaels clean win with the Sweet Chin Music super kick. I think that's kind of a better placement on the card for Masters and for Big Show, frankly.
And there's no Snitsky, so everybody wins.
Everybody's feet are safe.
And nobody's babies are getting punted.
That is very, very true.
All right, well, I'm done with that one. Let's keep going.
Well, the next match on the card would have been Shawn Michaels defeating Chris Masters. So I'm not sure what you've put in as a bonus match, but on my
no. The next one would have been the tag team title match.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. My apologies.
So my next match on the card is Edge going one-on-one with Matt Hardy in a last man standing match. This feud, I mean, we all know the history of this feud. It was legit. The man stole his girlfriend, essentially. She cheated on him with Edge. They brought Matt back after being released. I thought the way they brought him back was so great, though, where, like, he would run up and attack Edge out of nowhere in the backstage area and run away to make it seem like he wasn't supposed to be there. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done, too. And it was one of those things that kind of akin to what I talked about at the top of the program with the Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan Go Home edition of Raw, where you had the Bret Hart theme and Bret, didn't come out, obviously, but you faked the crowd out and you got people super excited. And then, of course, in the live crowd, super hot. This is kind of the same sort of idea where you're blurring the lines a bit, which I really appreciate, because sometimes, because we know wrestling so well, we've been watching, I know for myself, I've been watching it for, 25, 26 years, and you're even longer than that. I feel like we kind of recognize the patterns pretty well in terms of booking, just by virtue of watching it for so long and being, the marks that we are. So when I'm surprised or when I question whether or not something is legitimate, or a work or a shoot or what have you. I always appreciate that because it's so few and far between that it happens anymore. So I really, really appreciated the way they booked this angle. I thought it was masterfully done.
So I took the steel cage stipulation off because to me, and I know you agree with this completely, the cage match is the blow-off. And this match wasn't the blow-off. We would see it again on the Raw Homecoming in a ladder match. So I made it a last man standing match, and I made it a no contest. Neither men can answer the 10 count. They have beaten each other to death. Edge does the spear off the top rope. Matt Hardy is doing twists of fates off the top of ladders through tables. They just can't answer the 10 count. So it goes to a no contest. I know we kind of had that before, but this builds to the steel cage match where there must be a winner in the blow-off, and it will not be a pinfall or submission cage either. It's literally you need to escape the cage, and that will be what happens probably at the Raw Homecoming.
Yeah, I like that booking a lot, actually. I think that makes a ton. I mean, yeah, you know what? That's really solid booking. Did you go to a no contest? Because then it's almost like the rubber match, right? I mean, Edge won the first one, which I thought was really strange. I think they stopped it due to blood loss at SummerSlam. And then you have this match. I think that makes a ton of sense to book the no contest. And then, of course, the cage match can be, you can do that as the blow off. Again, like you said, the definitive blow off. And, that's just to keep Lita out. Because Lita, you have to remember, she's a worker. She was an established star. She's former women's champion. So she could legitimately, interfere in the match and make a difference. So to have Lita then neutralized at ringside with the cage, yeah, I like that booking a lot. I think that makes way more sense than what they did. So I'm right there with you on that one. That's really, really good booking.
Well, here's where shit comes off the rails because, Jay, it's time for my bonus match that I've added.
All right, let's go.
This match is scheduled for one fall, and we have Kerwin White going one-on-one with Al Snow.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to get this stupid Kerwin White gimmick over. What was his fucking catchphrase? Wasn't it like the white way is the right way or something like that?
God, I don't even know.
It was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. Dolph Ziggler as the caddy was kind of humorous. That made me chuckle a little bit. But you're going to have him go against Al Snow. Al Snow is not doing anything really right now. So is this a cold match? Hell fucking yeah. But do you need that cold match between the brawl that Hardy and Edge just put on and then the main event? Yeah, you do. So why not get this guy out there, get him the X-Pac heat, have him beat Al Snow, hang his sweater vest up in the corner, do all that stupid shit that he does with his golf swing. Boom, that's your winner. Unfortunately, we know this gimmick is not going to last for all the wrong reasons down the road, but at this point, they were going all in with it, so keep it going.
Yeah, I'm 100% good with that. I mean, if you're gonna keep him on, gimmick was ridiculous, and of course, after the untimely passing of Eddie Guerrero a few months down the road, that gimmick would be dropped, and he would go back to being Chavo Guerrero and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna try something different, they were doing a couple of different strange angles at this time. I mean, you had the Muhammad Hassan, which I guess is a commentary on what was going on in society, mirroring society to an extent. This particular angle, I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand the point of it. This gimmick was like, so he's a Latino man, Latin man who wants to be white to fit in society. I just didn't really understand why we were doing this, and if it was supposed to be like making a commentary on society. But I mean, if you want to keep that angle or keep that particular character, then yeah, let's give it a try. And Al Snow would give him a great match. So sure, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Well, it's now main event time, and I don't know if you're gonna like this or not, but let's see how you feel.
Yeah, the next match on the card is your WWE champion John Cena defending against my favorite version of Kurt Angle, the wrestling machine, Kurt Angle with the mouth guard and the wrestling shoes and the whole bit. And that was the main event of this particular card. And I have to say, in canon, it was a really good match. What do you have for me, bud?
Main event is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the WWE Championship. And it is Kurt Angle going one-on-one with John Cena. The match stays the same. It is probably Cena's best match up until this point in his career. It's as you put it, your favorite version of Angle, my favorite version of Angle, the wrestling machine, the mouth guard, just going in there, taking everybody down every way he can. It's hard hitting. I still have Kurt winning by disqualification because I didn't feel like hot-shotting the title around very much here. Cena was still in his first title reign, I believe, at this point. But it was so good. Like he finished his feud with JBL. He ends up on Raw. He's now feuding with Angle. This would go on throughout the fall. I just thought that this match itself was great. It was the best one that these two ever had, in my opinion. What about you? Do you agree? Should it have stayed? Should it have gone? Any thoughts?
No, I'm fine with this staying. Yeah, I agree with you. It was probably one of the better matches they ever had. I thought that we just come off of the feud with Jericho and Cena, and of course Jericho leaving the company. We wouldn't see him again for a couple of years, and then you have kind of Angle taking Jericho's place in terms of being Eric Bischoff's heavy or instrument of destruction or whatever you want to call it. So I think that actually works really well. I think you need to keep the title on Cena. I mean, clearly he is, the heir apparent. He's the next big star to come along since probably Rock and Austin. He's the closest thing to it. So, I mean, if you look at the two guys that were kind of leading the charge right now, was Batista and Cena. And, as much as Batista was over, I don't think he was ever over to the level that Cena was. So when you get Cena now going in, and the other thing too is you have to remember that he's, smack dab in the middle of his title run and working against guys that are going to give him some really, really good matches. And it's just going to enhance his career and his craft in terms of his ability to perform. So I think that this is a great match to keep on the card. Going forward, you would get at that Taboo Tuesday we alluded to before, you get a triple threat with Shawn Michaels, John Cena, and Kurt Angle, which was an outstanding match. So you continued on the feud afterwards. So I think as long as you're keeping the title on Cena, it makes sense. Angle is going to get the title again down the road. But yeah, I wouldn't have touched this match either.
Well, there you have it. That is my booking of Unforgiven 2005.
Yeah, you did a really good job. I mean, you turned chicken salad or turned, chicken shit into chicken salad here. So I think you did a good job. I mean, again, this card on its face, in terms of the way it was booked in canon, was not a good card. So I think that you did the best you could, and you ended up pulling out a pretty decent card here. I really like that Shawn and Shelton Benjamin match to open the show. I think would have been a lot of fun. So I like it.
Well, would you like to know what you're going to be doing next week then, my friend?
I would not miss this for all the tea in China.
That's a lot of tea. I just finished mine. I could go for another one right now. But you are going to be doing WWF In Your House 3 triple header. Took place September 24th, 1995. I'm sure you can tell me where it was, what the card was, because this is your wheelhouse right now.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Saginaw, Michigan. And the opening contest, we had Waylon Mercy making his pay-per-view debut against Savio Vega. We had the British Bulldog going up against Bam Bam Bigelow, maybe?
Yes.
We had Henry Godwin going up against Sid. We had the Bulldog and Yokozuna going up against Shawn Michaels and Big Daddy Cool Diesel, with all the titles on the line: the Tag Team Championship, Intercontinental Championship, and WWF Championship. Of course, Bulldog.
Okay. Yeah, we get it. You get it. We get it. That's cool. Good job, Jay. Good
Thank
job.
you. Do I get a gold star? Do I get a lollipop?
You'll get a sheriff's badge sent to you in the mail.
Is it going to be a real sheriff's badge or like a sticker? Because I don't want a sticker.
Well, I'll find something that you can clip onto your T-shirt.
Yes. I shudder to think what it's going to be. Well, I think we started off on a bit of a somber note this week, and it's been a rough couple of days in terms of what's been going on in the wrestling world. Just a tremendous loss. It's just a tragic loss, but we did what we could. I think for us in our limited capacity in our podcast to try and do the best we could to bring some light, bring some joy to those listeners that are hearing this right now, to our wonderful fan base and those that continually click on our podcast. We thank you very much. We hope that, if you have been kind of down in the dumps or feeling the blues based on the news that we've kind of all been hearing the last day or so, we really hope that we brought some light to your day, and we brought you got a chuckle out of you, at least a smile. And we really, really enjoy doing this podcast for you and for ourselves. I'm really looking forward to covering In Your House again next week. And we have a few more 1995 pay-per-views on tap. And then I think we're going to probably, shelve that year and move on to another one. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up on tap, including our preliminary discussions about our year-end show. I mean, our first year is coming up in November. It's going to be really exciting to see what we do. We've had a couple of discussions, and we're hoping to get back in person to do another live show at some point with a couple of cold ones and some more of that delicious bourbon that we had last time. But with that being said, I just want to thank you again, Tyrone, for your time, and thank you for your continued partnership in the podcast. And we had a great episode today. Had a lot of fun the last couple of weeks, and moving forward, I can only imagine how much more fun we're going to have. So where can our lovely listeners find us on social media, pal?
On Facebook at Good Friends, Better Enemies Podcast, on Twitter at Good_Enemies, and on Instagram at Good_Enemies. And for all things Good Friends, Better Enemies, and Count It Out 7, and the new show debuting very, very soon, go to CountItOut7.com. Also, Wendy's, we're waiting. Bring it on. Baconators, let's go.
See, I don't want a Baconator. I'm good with an Asiago chicken ranch with a little extra ranch. I'm going to dip my fries in some Frosty. We're going to have ourselves a nice little Labor Day weekend. I might even do that this weekend. I might get myself a Biggie Fries and a Biggie Frosty, maybe a Dave's Double, maybe some of those nachos loaded with chili and cheese. I don't know, maybe a defibrillator. Anyway, we are going to enjoy our Labor Day weekend. We certainly hope that you do as well. And we can't wait to be back with you next week again for our offering of In Your House 3. And for myself, for Tyrone, for Wendy's, whichever menu item is your favorite, for Labor Day weekend, and for all things rebooking, you've been listening to the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast.
Bye.